Hi there everybody, my name is Kate and welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens. And naturally, heads up, we're on the road, man. We're on the road. I hope you can see. And you see it? Man, oh, you see that? The little hoodoos back there? They're so cool. I'm at a park that I've only been to one other time. It's called Red Canyon in Colorado, Canyon City, Colorado. Anyway, who cares about the tourist information? I just had the most amazing experience. Creepy as and yet so amazing. The power of the polarity, the power of the paradox. It was both creepy and glorious all at the same time. Scary and empowering all at once in this park back here. So most of what I do is relate my life and how I do my spiritual stuff and my alchemy and my spiritual growth, my evolution, my walk and my talk, you know, and how to keep that stuff very closely aligned, and how I keep myself in tune with my guides, my team, however you look at that, whatever you call it. I frequently call my spiritual advisors my team because there's a collection of them. It takes a whole lot to keep us all on track here, all of me. It takes them a whole lot to keep me on track. However, I work to stay aligned with that stuff and listen very carefully and very closely. And I've had some experiences that, I found myself fighting what I was hearing. And so this morning was a bit like that. The last few days, man, the power's popping. The portals are popping. This is a timeless message, of course. However, the 9/9 portal just went zipping by a couple of days ago. I don't even know what today is. It must be the 15th or something, because Friday the 13th came and left, and that was just a couple of days ago. So anyway, we're gearing up for more. The energies are going to keep on going. Pluto, I think, is doing some weird stuff. I mean, the planets are doing what they do. And the energies in general, whether they're related to a massive celestial body or not, are doing what they do. And human beings in their very humanness are doing what we do. And those of us that are, more mindful are trying to really navigate ourselves around all of the unconsciousness in ourselves and others. And so part of what my journey is super sleuth that shit every day to figure out where's my blind spot that's getting in my way, and how can I unplug that, get through the barrier of energy, get through that cluster of obstruction, whatever it is, for me to see very clearly what I need to be doing. Because my natural state of being, if I was in my natural state of being in my home frequency, I would be in bliss pretty much all the time, right? That's what I've heard, and that's what I believe. And so anytime I'm not in that spot, or I'm helped to be moved out of that spot by somebody else's ridiculous behavior or my own ridiculous behavior, whatever it is, if I'm being challenged, that means there's a blockage somewhere between me and my place of most authentic energy, my most divine place. And so let me see if I can proactively jump up into my day, proactively looking for the way that takes me back into that keeps me there and keeps me moving up the spiral, so to speak, to be moving in that 88, let's move this up, and don't wait. So, and this last couple of days, as I said, the powers be popping, the portals be popping. I've been all over the place emotionally, just crying and, giggling, like really all over the place. The power of the polarity, the power of the paradox is that I can feel the depths of at 1 second and be absolutely blissful in the next, and that's not a statement of psychosis, because I'm aware of where I am in both of those places. It turns into psychosis when we lose our human grip and our human mind to that experience. It turns into that psychosis thing in a second, and I've been there, so that's how I know that it's the difference, is that I'm able better to observe those places and lean in and shoulder into that shit. Like, we're here for a fun time, not a long time necessarily. That means also, conversely, that we're here for a not so fun time, and it won't last forever either. So it's not about the duration of it or the quality of it. It's about lean into it and what is it, and discover what those, there we are, sorry, I'm trying to figure out what that is. figure out what to do with that, to lean into it so that it can cleanse and clear out most effectively. If you're going to lance a boil and you irrigate it and you don't get all the infection out, you're going to be visiting that boil again. You're going to be visiting that infection again, and you're going to be less and less able to capture it. The more sepsis gains, faster and faster, because the microbe that's living in there has figured out how to survive an almost near-death experience. So I like to get into those spots where I'm given anytime I'm having a flare-up, especially those ugly things. We all know how to have a good time, right? It's the other stuff that's not so often dealt with, that we know exactly what we're doing. But I like to get in there, route around, pop the lid, and say, okay, Spirit, help me. What is this? And please show it to me so that I can cleanse this, clear this, irrigate the snot out of this, get some energetic bleach in here, Blu-ray that stuff, make sure that I've cleared this room. Law enforcement goes in to clear a house, they clear room by room by room, and they make sure that the room is cleared before they go to the next spot, right? So they don't get ambushed from behind. So that's what how I like to look at it, is I want to clear out every spot. And so every time these energies are coming and I'm feeling these swings and spending a lot of time really, leaning into them and finding it more challenging, because I have a job and I volunteer and spend a lot of hours away from my home, whereas I used to be, very able to just kind of go with whatever was happening, and I didn't have to fit that into anybody else's schedule. It was just my own. And so I wasn't directed to go do those things or given those things to do randomly. They're there for my good, and that's my premise. Then that is clearly understood right from the jump, is that every day, every way that I'm moving, it's meant for my good. Whether or not I'm actively utilizing it in the best way or not, that's on me. However, Spirit is setting this up for me to be in the highest vibrational energy and offered up the most delightful gifts that I possibly could be. And they don't all come packaged with a nice sweet looking bow. Sometimes they're candy coated, yucky, that, okay, that didn't taste so great. However, it's a gift regardless. Find the gift in it, Kate. That's your job to do. We've provided all of this to you, and it's your job to figure out how you're going to use that. Call that what it really is, which is a gift, no matter how it came packaged, whether it tasted yummy or not. Okay, so learn something from it. Yeah, we gotta go that way. And so anyway, I'm here, doing my thing, all up and down, feeling it, grieving deeply about some things, and also very relieved and happy to be released of said grieving, that came with a price. However, grieving the loss and yet being thrilled that, phew, I don't do that anymore. I don't have that burden of that level of sadness in my life anymore. Yes, it came at a price to exorcise myself from it, and excise myself from it, and be excised from it. However, I sure am glad. It'd be like somebody had a gangrenous foot that needed to be removed. We sure would miss our foot. However, we'd probably be very, very relieved on some level to have a gangrenous, toxic, sepsis creating appendage still attached to us. And if the last resort is to remove it because it can't be integrated back into full enough health to keep the full body from being healthy, then snip, snip's got to go. That's the way I look at it. And so again, going out with the premise that this is all for my good, and that if it was taken from me, it was meant to no longer be with me. It was not mine to hang on to for dear life anyway, no matter what it is. And so feeling the grief of that, feeling the sadness. And I came across a reader I was listening to. She's an intuitive clairvoyant. She just gives messages. I don't think she uses cards. I think she's just, probably just intuitive understandings and knowledge that's been given to her. She was talking and she said something about the snake, and the snake is a very profound and powerful figure for a lot of reasons, and it had very specific meaning to me because I actually referred to someone in my life as a snake. That's a snake. That person is a snake. They're an absolute betrayer, and that's, wow, those are some pretty seemingly unforgivable atrocities committed there in that snakedom stuff, and yet it can't lie there and stay there. It has to move into something else, because snake is something else. Snake sheds its skin, and it's very angry and upset during that shedding process when it's going through its most vulnerable stages of change and evolution. It's blinded, and it will actually go away and kind of slither off, and it's blinded. Its eyes are scaled over, and it's a lot more protective and snittier and shittier in its character during that time. Yet it's very vulnerable, and it's going through its metamorphosis in its shedding period, which is a very painful process for it, and it's getting rid of a whole layer of itself. And so when I thought about the person that I called a snake, and I absolutely cataloged it correctly. It wasn't a matter of misunderstanding that is a snake. Yes, that's a snake. Don't miss the chance to identify stuff correctly. It's a matter of how we're going to perceive what snake means. And if we get bitten by snake whenever it's that period of time and it's agitated, whether it proactively came seeking to start war or not, doesn't matter. When there's a metamorphosis at hand and people are vulnerable, they're froggy, they're cranky, and they also do not understand what's happening to them, they're blind to the whole situation for whatever reason that they are. I was causing some rumblings and jumblings in my own world, which vicariously was rippling out to the people around me, and it was really making them angry and upset. They were not happy with me about that. They wanted me to be still, be quiet, shut up, do things the old way that you used to, that you never questioned anything, that you never had any boundaries, that you never understood yourself to be something more than just this blob that, you know, did everything the way that was dictated by this system, that everybody kind of has a little bit of free will and room, but we all really pretty much know the drill on this, that, you know, don't tick off certain people, don't bring up certain subjects, don't stray too far away from, you know, camp, etc. And when I started really growing weary of that and finding out that, yeah, this has been a very terrible, tragic mistake of mine to be going down this road, I'm very unhappy with this. All of these behaviors started changing, and this person reared up and really, she struck, you know, and yet I could not for the life of me figure out until, you know, over the time, the last 5 years, I've unraveled my own behavior in that, because it's easy to identify when somebody else has been the bad guy. That's usually what we know best, is when somebody else has been the bad guy, you know, and it's really not about that, Kate. That's easy. Go deep, go deeper, lean in and figure out, where were you the bad guy, or where were you in this? What was your accountability? Because the bad guy thing brings on some shame sometimes, so let me pull that back and say, where's your accountability in this? What is your responsibility to this situation? And what I realized is that this is a person that, you know, lives in fear predominantly, and I know that. I've known this person my whole life, and consequently their own life also, almost the entirety of it. And so I've witnessed this growth and change through many decades, and seeing that growth and change really didn't ever bring a lot of courage or a lot of solid foundation or a whole lot of faith in, you know, something more real than just out here. And that's something that was struggled with many years ago and seemed to continue to be struggled with. And there reached a certain point in our shared experience where it seemed like that Kate was over here just falling apart and couldn't get a grasp of reality, whereas this other person was, you know, slamming and jamming it hard and knew how to do life. And, you know, I'm the bozo over here that's just can't get anything straight. And what I realized in that is what I was observing was within me the ability to have faith and ride things out and understand that, you know, okay, gotta let go of that, and gotta let go of that. And that other person that was appearing to be quite solid, quite riveted, you know, and had a very solid base, it seemed, was a house of cards that when challenged, that snake reared early and hard and lethal, you know, and absolutely took me down in some, you know, different situations that that person had the upper hand. And that's fine now on the other side of it. However, at the time I thought, what in the absolute, you know, cluckety-cluck just happened here? Who is this person? I thought they were so solid. I thought they were so this. I thought I was the nut that couldn't figure shit out, and yet this person just went unstable, you know, I mean, almost instantly on several different occasions. And just, you know, we're talking grown people here. I'm all the way grown. This person's older than I am. So, you know, like, what the hell was that it went emotionally unstable, and situations and decisions were created and made from there of that instability, this person that seems so rock solid in my mind. Well, a snake, if I'm looking at a snake and thinking them pretty darn solid, and yeah, they've got the upper hand because they always have the ability to strike, and, you know, they're pretty cool and chilling on a a rock, etc., when they're in that vulnerable position, blind as hell, and they're shedding their skin, or they're being, poked in some way, when they feel vulnerable or feel like they're under attack. I imagine that, a snake that's getting ready to be eaten by a hawk probably shows its little rattled tail all kinds of different ways and absolutely loses its mind as it knows that it's going down. Whether it's blind or not, or saw it coming, once it knows that, oh, the hawk is definitely the one that's standing on top of this. This is not, I don't have to stand a chance in this. There is no defense mechanism that I have that I can use. So when we look at it from that perspective, that this person who had always held that position of being the, powerful dynamic in the power differential between us, that person always held the position of power, because I never wanted to upset her. I never wanted to, we don't want to make her mad, because she just gets so upset, and she's scary, and she is. She's loud, she's obnoxious, she's very bullyish, and demonstrated she was willing to get physical, and go pull out all kinds of stops. I had never challenged that. I never poked the bear, as it were, and I didn't mean to. I wasn't intending to poke the bear by making the changes. However, the minute that I understood that, oh, this situation's got no power over me, I don't care what you do, because I'm impervious to the weak bite of this snake that's going through transformation and is blind and is striking, it glanced, the strike glanced, as my ass was leaving rapid pace anyway, and I understood that, oh, this person has no power over me. I realize now that that was a facade. That was just the that was the stage that was set. That was the perception that was had, because that's the perception that was being projected out there. If I'm tough, I'm bad, don't mess with me, I'll take you down, I'll strike you, and I'll, make you miserable. And I had the ability to do that for as long as I didn't understand that, oh baby, no, I don't play with snakes, I'm not a snake, and in this equation, if I have to be the hawk, then I'm going to just rear up and be the hawk. However, basically, I'm not interested in eating a snake, playing with a snake, or owning a snake, or being one. That's just not my thing. I don't do reptiles as a whole, so, how about we just get out of this game altogether? However, if we're going to have to come here and play, and if I'm going to be dragged to this arena where somebody needs to establish the food chain, then I'm going to not be the mouse in this anymore. Screw that. I'm going for hawk and going to neutralize this on my way out. And so what ended up happening, all of this is unraveling in the last, few years, most definitely, and most, intensely over the last couple months, with these energy shifts in Sirius Stargate in July. It's now September of 2024. So all of this has just really been coming in hardcore. Now, let me pull forward to, I've been living in Colorado for 3 years almost. Yeah, almost 3 years, just a couple more months. And I do a lot of outdoor stuff. I'm an outdoor person, which I never used to be. However, I am now. That's the true me, is that I spend a lot of time outdoors, and there's a lot of deserty type areas in the places that I go, like right here. And I have never not once seen a snake. I've heard a couple off in the distance. Rattlesnakes are pretty common here, but I've never seen one. In Florida, where I originated, there were snakes everywhere, and I can't say I pretty much, ever got to a place where I was, happy to see one. I was happy to see them going some other direction, and, very happy when I didn't see one. They were very common. So I was very delighted to move here and realize that, basically, snake minds its own business. Get the metaphysical on that. It minds its own business, and unless it's eating, has a need to eat, it doesn't just, go in gratuitously. Nature does not gratuitously murder other species to just prove a point. That's not what nature does. That's what human nature does. However, that's not our most natural state of being. That's what we propagated in all of this kookiness. So anyway, I have been out hiking miles and miles and miles and miles and miles now in the mountains, in these high desert situations, and all kinds of pine forests, alpine, whatever it is, doesn't matter, and I've never come across a snake. Well, today, as I'm rolling in here. I get up this morning, excuse me, let me backtrack just a minute. Grab a hold, we'll get there. I wake up this morning and I'm like, yep, I'm going somewhere. I went somewhere completely different yesterday. I went the other direction and did different work there with a completely different person from my past. That, oh yeah, we're clearing all that. We're shaving off all the excess hairs and stuff. Yeah, shaving that, fleecing the sheep, as it were. And yet today I woke up and went, I wonder where I'm going today. And oh, I think I'm going to go to Canyon City today. Okay. Well, I was a little bit frustrated and thinking, why do I not know this already? My team usually is very clear with me, and I know usually as I'm going, but when I don't, I still am working on this to be able to say, oh, okay, it's not just me, being abandoned all of a sudden. That's like gravity abandoning us. No. Or the sun abandoning us. No, not so far. We've got pretty good evidence that doesn't happen. And the laws of physics that help drive that assurance and that faith in that. Well, trusting in the universe and God as a principle of, spirituality can be a little more difficult through my human element. And so I wasn't really understanding, like, I think I'm supposed to go to Canyon City. I think I'm supposed to do that. And okay, so I get in my car and like, okay, and I kept hearing, just trust us. We've not, abandoned you yet. We still have it. You'll know as you get there. Go with that one. Remember when we go with this, we're sticking our neck out there, not really knowing, how much are you putting out there? If nothing else, you're going for a drive and it'll be, well worth it just to get out of town before you have to go to work again, starting tomorrow. So, what's your beef? Oh, okay. It's that I want to know and I want to know now. Well, I drive and I get over this direction and I suddenly find myself going to a place that I frequently go, the oil well flats. There's a couple of different places here and they have very different work, very different energies, and I'm usually moving energy in a very different way when I'm in those places, and they're like worlds apart, except not only but a few miles apart. However, they couldn't be energetically more different if they tried. And so I start going that direction to the oil well flats, which I'm very familiar with, and thought, okay, I'm not feeling that familiar energy of what we would be working on today. I'm not even smelling the aroma of, what are we working with today? What's this about? What are we clearing today? Hello, bird. I don't know what that is. And it was really kind of bugging me. And so I said, what am I supposed to be doing? And next thing I know, whoop, I see a sign for Red Canyon, excuse me, which is a very weird little park that I've only been to one other time, and it was a long time ago when I first got my dog. So it's been a couple of years almost since I've been over there, and it was a little bit creepy when I came the last time. It's a city or county park, and there's just a lot of different energies there that visit. Not the stuff that is there that is the energy of the park itself, but the people who visit can be a little shady, and they leave behind evidence of their activity that is kind of unsettling sometimes. So last time and today both confirmed, that, okay, weird stuff happens here. But that's not why you're here, Kate. You're here for other stuff. Don't wait on leaving that stuff to where it belongs, which is over there and not your business. Don't pay attention to stuff that's not your business. What is your business? So, moving along, and I find myself bursting into tears again, clearing stuff and learning very much to don't ask a lot of questions about what it is. It doesn't matter if it's clearing and you don't need to interview it, and it doesn't need to stop and ask questions or let you know who and what it is. Don't. Just alchemize it and move it on. Allow that to have, lean into it, have the tears, have the experience, and keep it moving. Otherwise, if you stop the flow of it, you're just jamming it up for somewhere else later, and you're unblocking stuff. That's the whole point of this, is to unblock. So let it unblock, And so, okay, I'm crying and I'm feeling all this stuff, and I can feel all these energies moving around. Don't know what they are, can't really tell what it is. There's some familiarity, mostly not, and it's just clearing. And I start thinking about this person and the snake thing. And I had brought some stuff with me in a little glass jar. I was asked to bring a few items from home, which is stuff that I am given in the moment to take some, rocks that I have, some crystals, something, whatever it is, a gift to offer to wherever I'm going, which happens on the fly. There is no solid, every time I do this, I take this with me. There isn't. It's in the moment, I know, or the day before or something, that I make an offering, and I knew I was going to be making this offering. So I had the little glass jar, and I was hearing, hey, put that in your hand and let's do it. And And so I took the stuff as I'm kind of sniffling and, you know, whatever, and looking and praying and saying, okay, you know, please take this energy and bless it, move it on into the light. Whatever is grieving within me, whatever is swinging past me that's asking for alchemy, whatever this is, let's move this on so that I can feel comfort and I can feel compassion for whoever, whatever is having this feeling. You know, whoever it is, if I have compassion for myself, then I have compassion for another person, because ain't nobody wants to be feeling like this. It feels like shit. So whoever, whatever it is, I want it to be healed for anybody, everybody, especially me. However, anybody else that might be zooming by, okay, you know, get in, losers, we're gonna alchemize some stuff, you know. And so I took this stuff that was in this glass jar and I stuck it into a tree trunk where I was asked to, and I had the glass jar, you know, and the glass jar, I put it in my pocket and kept on going. And I realized I sat down in a rock later because my dog just went DOA all of a sudden. He lies down. He got hot and he decided he was just going to lie down, and said, okay, well, I'm going to just sit here and kind of process what we're doing here. Is there anything I need to be knowing about this? Is there something more that I can be doing? How can I continue to, you know, make sure that all of these little hairs, these stragglers of loose energy are getting moved into a streamline of alchemy to move this up, get the frequency into that place of pure love, compassion and kindness and soothing of that grieving and that anger and the sadness, whatever it is. Let's move this in and get it all streamlined. Don't leave any stragglers behind. So I sat on this rock and I'm just watching my dog, and you know, all of a sudden, zing, spirit is good. When we have the connection with spirit and we're listening and we can really hear that voice, and we're not hearing all of the chaos and the calamity and the of the mind chatter and the horror and the trauma of life on earth can be that. When we can really settle our mind and be in that peaceful place, we hear. And thank God that I was in a place where I could hear, because the message became oh so clear that I'm looking at my dog, and all of a sudden I stand up and I said, oh, I see over there, there's something glimmering. I had been down a little bit further and had walked back to this rock to sit down on, and excuse me, when I sat down on the rock, when I turned to look, there was something glimmering where I had been, and I thought, uh-oh, the jar fell out of my pocket. I'll have to get up and go and retrieve the jar. As I'm feeling for the jar, I'm like, what would be glimmering like that except glass? And the glass was missing from my pocket, so I just assumed I left it down there. And I want you to know, I almost shit myself. I have great respect for nature, and I love spirit, and I love universal energy and all of the ways that it shows up, and I have a great deal of respect for how it shows up and what it is, what form it's coming to me in. And so I look down and I stand up to you know, make sure that the thing is missing, and as I do, I haven't any idea how far away from me it was. I'm not the greatest at judging perceptually the distance. However, about that far, can you see that? That far? There was about that big around a rattlesnake that I was seeing that much of it. I don't know how much was hidden behind the rock it was slithering into, but that little baby doll had to have been sneaking by me close. I don't know how close it was. I mean, it was about that far away when I noticed it after I stood up, and I about threw up, peed my pants, and shit myself all at the same time, and I felt myself gasp, and I looked at its tail immediately. I've never seen a rattlesnake in the wild. I've never seen one up close other than in a zoo where they keep them really far away, and I've not ever studied rattlesnakes. The only reason that I knew it was a rattlesnake, because the color was a little baffling. It was kind of greenish and had a whole bunch of design that made me lose my mind. But it was the tail that I could see had the very distinctive rattle on it. And I thought, and it took everything I had not to scream. That being presented with the opportunity of catch a hold of this quick, Kate, stand up and look around, which I did, and see immediately, and I heard dropping in from spirit immediately of take a deep breath, do not scream, absolutely do not scream, and notice what you're seeing at the tail. That is, the tail is not rattling. This snake is moving very, very slowly, and it's just giving you the message of what you know is happening here. And if you don't mess this up, and you don't cause a ruckus with your flipped out, weirded out, traumatic or trauma response or reaction, that snake's going to just move on with his business and let you have this lesson in the kindest way that you possibly can have it, which is to let it move on with its day and you go on with yours. Okay? It was very freaky. It's not the first time I've had an instance such as that. However, it's been a long time, and it definitely, the last time wasn't up close and personal, that close. And not with something that at the time that I had an engagement with a bobcat. The bobcat was further away, and they're not typically interested in human beings, and that cat had something to eat already. It just needed me to back out and leave it alone. And I was concerned because I had my dog. I didn't have my dog at that time, and I understood the properties of the cat. I understood the properties of the snake, though, as it was dropping in, that the rattle is not rattling. The snake is moving way slow, and it's moving away from you. And if it had wanted to let you know it was there, it would have done so already, because look at the proximity of where it is to you. We're asking you to stand up. Notice that, and then move out, so that you're not in any kind of a situation to be provoking or appear to be provoked, and you're going to get the most high intensity. I just remembered I got the download this morning when I was in the shower that you asked this morning. I did, for take me right to that point. They answered the prayer. The prayer is answered exactly the way that I ordered it up this time. Sometimes I have to find out what that really means when I get the prayer answered. It doesn't always look like the way that I thought I ordered it, but it's always answered. So the way that I asked in the shower, that download that I was getting, is that you're going to be getting some information today. And I said, can we take it right to that point? I want you to press me to the point that I can keep my mind clear. That's funny. Keep my mind absolutely clear. Stay in that moment, deal with what I'm seeing in front of me, press me emotionally and press me mentally and spiritually. However, do not press me so far that I'm going to go over the edge, not even the slightest. You can take me right there, because you, Spirit, know where that is in me. So I'm going to leave that up to you to take me to that point so that we can clear this stuff. I want to bang out as much as possible today, clear out as much of that shit as we can today, because I got other stuff to get to, and get this stuff out of my way, please. And I'll be darned if that's not exactly what happened, because that took me right to my point of I want to scream, and careful not to scream, because we're not here to alarm the snake. The snake isn't here to alarm you either. If it was, it would have already rang your bell, baby. But it didn't. So please don't create drama where there ain't none. You know, don't create a problem where there isn't one. Please respect what that is, which is a snake that can cause you a great deal of harm and absolutely kill your dog. So please don't, do anything to miss this opportunity. We're right here with you. And it literally just dropped in 2 seconds ago that that's what you asked for. So, la 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 la. That is the nature of Spirit, and having that connection to our own source. That source loves us, our team loves us, and does not mean that we won't get our butt handed to us, or that we won't get beat up in the process, or that we won't meet danger. It's a matter of how do we deal with that, how do we navigate that, can we avert danger, what we consider to be dangerous, and can we redefine what we consider danger to be, such as knowing that a person is behaving like a snake and understanding that danger. That's more complicated, in my opinion, than being out in nature and navigating what is the natural world, acting in a very natural way. Humans can be a lot more complicated, because the natural way that a human behaves is based on their trauma, their history, the association that we have with them, the relationship we've had, any recent, ingestion of foods or drugs. I mean, any number of things can change that element immensely. So it can be a little more complicated. However, getting on top of the idea that I think I'm going to be the top of the food chain everywhere that I can be, that I logistically and legitimately can be and need to be, then I'll step into that role. Otherwise, I'm just going to be a part of the ecosystem that's very balanced and doing its part to stay balanced and remain in that place where, being an apex predator on the fly, all of a sudden eating a meal that I don't usually eat. I don't eat snake. However, when it came to that particular instance in my own personal life, as opposed to being eaten, I'm going to have to go on the offensive, and I don't prefer that. However, when I'm called to that, I best know how to play that position, huh? So I learned a lot today, and I hope that this has been helpful to you in some way, and I hope that no matter what part of the day you're in, you're enjoying your day, and remember to get within your skin and enjoy being within your skin, because you're divine. It's absolutely fine. You're absolutely fine. Your human may not be so much sometimes. However, your divine is that solid state, that solid, stable state of being that knows always how to return, how to bring you as a human being back through to that very stable place of peace and balance. And that's what I believe, I know for me, and I believe it's true for all humans. However, I've read other people's story, I believe that that's what I'm always after, and I believe that's what every human being is after, is to be able to return to that place where we know our home frequency is one of balance, no matter what that frequency is. It's universal energy, and it comes from a place of balance already, and from whence we came to there we go. And so if we can go back to that place, return to that place, then we let a snake slide by 4 or 5 years later, can look at a snake and say, wow, thank you so much for that lesson of transformation in a kind way. The last time I dealt with a snake, it didn't go so well. It was quite grisly and gruesome, and we both walked away with injuries. So anyway, as I said, enjoy your day and get within your skin, because you're divine. Absolutely fine. Take care, and I will see you again next time. Goodbye, my beautiful friends. Mwah.